What if the legends you heard as a kid were based on something real? Let's be honest, we all know someone who swears their uncle saw something. Today, we're diving into 21 creatures that have haunted stories for generations. Enjoy this compilation of the most mysterious creatures ever witnessed across the globe. The first creature we will uncover is the boogeyman. He is the terror of the night, lurking in closets and under beds, waiting silently until a child is left alone. The boogeyman is not one fixed being, but a shape born from the fear of darkness and the unknown. His image shifts from story to story. Some describe him as a faceless shadow with long arms, while others picture a gaunt figure with warped skin and glowing eyes. What matters is that dread strikes long before he ever steps near. His legend reaches back to old European tales. Parents once warned of him to keep children obedient and safe indoors after dark. Nearly every culture has its own version. In Spain, he is called El Loco, in Germany, Durart, and in Arabic traditions, Abu Kirker. He hides in dim corners, closets, attics, under the bed, places where imagination fills in what the eye cannot see. That is what makes him a universal nightmare. He takes shape in every mind, never quite the same. Today, the boogeyman shows up in horror movies, games, and countless stories. He has grown into a symbol of fear itself, irrational, hidden deep inside, waiting where reason fades. But does he truly exist? There is no evidence, but evidence isn't the point. The moment you feel that pull to check the dark corner of your room, you'll remember why parents still whisper his name. But shadows in the corner aren't the only things to fear. Number 6 is one of the most intriguing sea monsters on this list, Elrond Maha. This enormous creature only started making the rounds online in recent years, but it's already become the subject of endless theories and viral stories. Based on eyewitness descriptions and digital artwork, Elrond Maha is said to stretch nearly 2,200 feet in length. Its head is massive, lined with rows of sharp teeth, and features 6 small white eyes positioned along each side. It's believed to dwell far beneath the Arctic Ocean, hiding in the coldest, blackest waters on Earth. The first murmurs about it began when strange underwater noises were picked up in the Arctic. Some chalked it up to shifting ice, but others were convinced the sounds came from something much more mysterious. One widely shared tale describes a deep-sea crew capturing footage of a huge shadow drifting past their submersible camera. So, is Elrond Maha real? No hard evidence confirms it, but between our natural fear of deep water, unexplained sounds, and blurry shapes in the dark, it's no wonder this beast has become one of the most chilling and convincing creatures to emerge from the internet. If deep-sea monsters creep you out, wait till you meet the one playing violin by the lake. Up next is the Nokken, a mysterious figure rooted in Scandinavian legend. This elusive spirit is said to dwell in lakes, rivers, and other freshwater spots. In most tales, he appears as an attractive man, often seen playing a violin. The music he creates is haunting and irresistible, drawing people closer to the water's edge. But don't be deceived. Other versions of the legend say he can shift into a monstrous creature, or even take the form of a horse, all to lure unsuspecting victims beneath the surface. Some stories describe him as nearly see-through, with glowing eyes that pierce through the fog. Others claim he's a slippery, seaweed-covered entity crawling out of the water. Written references to Nokken date as far back as the Middle Ages, though the folklore likely stretches much further into the past. He's especially well known in the mythology of Norway, Sweden, and Iceland. Traditionally, people believed you could ward him off by tossing a blade or a coin into the water. One of the most chilling tales tells of a young girl who heard violin music near a lake. She followed the sound and spotted a man playing on the shore. She was captivated and never returned. So, is the Nokken real? Probably not. Most see him as a reminder of the hidden dangers in calm waters. Still, up in those misty northern woods, someone might still be playing that eerie melody. Next up, a creature that ruled both the skies and the land. Let's talk about the griffin. This legendary beast is known for its striking combination, a lion's body, paired with the head and wings of an eagle. It's one of the oldest mythological creatures found across multiple civilizations. By merging the lion's raw strength with the eagle's commanding presence, the griffin became a powerful emblem of authority and protection. In traditional stories, the griffin often serves as a guardian, watching over sacred objects, priceless treasures, or ancient relics. It represents represents the union of two animals seen as royalty in their realms, the lion as king of the land and the eagle ruling the skies. The griffin's earliest appearances trace back to ancient Egyptian mythology, where its image was carved into temple walls and used in religious structures as far back as the 3rd millennium BC. Later, the creature featured prominently in both Greek and Roman stories, where it symbolized protection and was believed to guard tombs, temples, and valuable items. In modern pop culture, griffins still show up in fantasy films and animated shows. One example is its placement on the Hogwarts crest in the Harry Potter series. While there's no scientific proof that griffins ever walked the earth, the idea likely came from people blending the features of real animals, eagles and lions, into one symbolic creature. To the cultures that created it, the griffin wasn't just a monster. It stood for courage, wisdom, and protection. From mythic guardians to snowy giants, this one's been leaving footprints in the highest mountains for over a century. At number 3, we have the Yeti, also known as the Abominable Snowman. Picture this, a massive figure, nearly 8 feet tall, cloaked in thick gray or white fur. Most accounts say it resembles a giant ape, but stands and walks upright like a human. It's said to roam the Himalayan mountains, particularly in the regions of Nepal and Tibet. The Yeti first grabbed attention in the West back in 1921, when a British team climbing Mount Everest reported finding enormous footprints, shaped like human feet, but far too big to be real. Ever since, travelers, climbers, and even locals have come forward with stories of sightings. One of the most well-known incidents happened in 1951, when mountaineer Eric Shipton snapped a photo of strange tracks on the Menlung Glacier. That image spread quickly, at least as quickly as a photo could in those days. Most scientists remain doubtful. Many believe the prints were left by bears, and that the tales are simply fueled by fear, folklore, and a little imagination. Still, here's what makes it strange. Over the years, dozens of people from different places have described the same creature in nearly the same way. Is that just a coincidence? Maybe. Or maybe the Yeti is still up there, waiting in the snow, just beyond reach. This next creature? Not exactly man's best friend. The Cerberus. Think giant dog, but not your regular kind. This monstrous hound has 3 heads, each one massive, and according to old legends, its breath could scorch the earth and its bark was said to rumble like thunder. Cerberus is a figure from ancient Greek mythology, first showing up in writings from the 8th century BC, including works by Homer and Hesiod. His job? Guarding the gates of the underworld, making sure no souls ever slipped out of Hades. This wasn't just any guard dog, it was the personal, 3-headed enforcer of the god of the dead. But Cerberus hasn't stayed trapped in the past. In 2003, in the town of Lignano, Italy, several residents claimed they saw a strange, multi-headed animal near an old set of catacombs. They described it as moving in a way that didn't seem natural, fast, smooth, and eerily quiet. To this day, they stand by what they saw, convinced it wasn't something ordinary. So, could Cerberus be real? Probably not. Not in the terrifying form passed down through ancient stories. But the natural world can be bizarre. 2-headed creatures exist, thanks to rare mutations and biological oddities. So who knows? Maybe there's still something strange lurking far below the surface. And finally, we head to Scotland, where one shadowy shape beneath the water sparked a mystery the world still hasn't solved: the Loch Ness Monster. You've probably heard tales about a strange being said to live in Loch Ness, a deep lake in the Scottish Highlands. Over the decades, there have been countless reports of unusual sightings, and the creature behind them is affectionately known as Nessie. One of the most common features in descriptions is its massive size. According to many eyewitnesses, the creature is said to be around 10 meters long, with a dark, leathery hide and a long neck, something between a reptile and a prehistoric dinosaur. Some have described its head as being similar to a crocodile or snake, and there are even accounts that mention flippers beneath the surface. The first written reference to the Loch Ness Monster goes all the way back to the year 565, when an Irish monk named Saint Columba reportedly saw a huge beast in the river that flows into the loch. But the story really took off in 1933, when a famous photo was taken on the lake, known as the Surgeon's Photo. It quickly became one of the most debated images of all time. Although it was later revealed to be faked, it didn't stop the public's obsession with Nessie. Even after multiple scientific expeditions and sonar scans, the mystery of the Loch Ness Monster remains. Is it real? That's still up for debate. But one thing's certain: this legend continues to capture imaginations, drawing in curious minds and thrill seekers from all over the world. The frozen north, where the old gods whispered of a wolf so fierce that even they feared his birth. Fenrir, the colossal and fearsome wolf you might recognize from Thor, Ragnarok. But long before the movies, Fenrir's legend roared through the cold winds of Norse mythology. He was no ordinary beast. Born of the trickster god Loki and the giantess Angerboda, Fenrir's very existence terrified the gods of Asgard. From his first breath, they sensed a destiny soaked in destruction, a creature fated to bring about Ragnarok, the end of the world. As Fenrir grew, so did his strength. The gods tried to tame him, forging chain after chain, each one shattered as easily as thread between his jaws. Finally, they turned to the dwarves, who crafted a magical restraint, Gleipnir, made from impossible things: the sound of a cat's footstep, the beard of a woman, the roots of a mountain, the breath of a fish, and the spittle of a bird. When Fenrir was bound, he realized he'd been tricked, and in fury bit off the hand of the god Tyr. There he remained, howling through the ages until the final battle, when he would break free and swallow Odin himself. But behind the myth lies a shadow of truth. Around 10,000 years ago, during the last ice age, enormous wolves truly did stalk the frozen world. The dire wolves. They stood nearly 4 feet at the shoulder, weighed close to 200 pounds, and hunted alongside saber-toothed cats for prey like mammoths and bison. Fossils found in places like the La Brea tar pits in California show that these ancient wolves were not ancestors of modern ones, but a distinct species, genetically closer to a lost branch of canids that diverged millions of years ago. So, did Fenrir exist, not as the son of Loki, but perhaps as a memory of a real predator, so powerful it imprinted itself on human fear? The next creature commands an entire underworld. Its wings spread fear wider than the night itself. Camazotz. His name translates to Death Bat, and the title is no exaggeration. Camazotz was revered by the Maya as a bat deity, tied to the underworld, ritual sacrifice, and the blackness of night itself. He was often depicted as a man with the head of a massive bat, wings spread wide, and claws ready to rip through anything in his path. Some tales describe him as over 7 feet tall, with wings reaching 13 feet across, wide enough to block out the sky. In Maya lore, Camazotz stood as the guardian of Xibalba, the realm of the dead. It was believed he could snatch away souls or sever a head with a single swipe. He appears in the Popol Vuh, the ancient epic where heroes are forced to face him in a life or death challenge. His legend remains strongest in the lands of present-day Guatemala and southern Mexico. Within sacred caves, archaeologists continue to uncover carvings and statues shaped with bat-like faces and widespread wings. Even today, Camazotz survive in stories and pop culture. He is not merely a demon, but a force of darkness that embodies primal fear. Does such a creature roam the earth? Likely not. But as a symbol of humanity's dread of the wild, the night, and the unseen, he certainly does. Camazotz ruled the skies, but the next creature ruled the depths below. Number 5 on this list is the Megalodon, a prehistoric shark that could grow up to 60 feet in length. Its bite was strong enough to crush a car, and its teeth were as large as a grown man's hand. If it swam nearby, you would never hear it coming. This predator is said to have hunted whales, dolphins, and even other sharks. Nothing in the sea could match its power. Fossilized teeth and spinal remains have been unearthed across the globe, from Europe to Australia, with frequent discoveries along the coasts of the United States, Peru, and Japan. Some of these teeth are so perfectly preserved they seem almost new, fueling the question, could it still be alive? The name Megalodon literally means giant tooth, an apt description considering a single tooth could measure up to 7 inches long. Today, the Megalodon lives on in movies, video games, and speculative documentaries. Many continue to believe that something vast and ancient may still lurk in the deepest waters. Did the Megalodon once exist? Absolutely. And perhaps that reality, that it was real, makes it the most terrifying sea monster of all. Which of these creatures do you think could still be out there? Let us know in the comments before we reveal the next one. Few speak of it openly, yet coastal fishermen know the name, the Sea Eater. It comes without a splash, without a sound. It simply appears. Descriptions tell of an immense, shadowy shape with smooth skin like a seal's and no eyes, only a gaping mouth that stretches across half its head. Some who claim to have seen it say it was as large as a bus, perhaps even bigger. The earliest stories of the Sea Eater trace back to legends from Scandinavia and the northern coasts of Canada. Fishermen told of boats that vanished on calm waters. No storm, no struggle, just silence, and then an empty horizon. The Sea Eater is not said to attack with fury. It rises quietly beneath its target, and then the boat is gone, as if the sea itself chose not to give it back. Today, the Sea Eater rarely appears outside of fan theories, obscure online discussions, and indie videos. Almost no one admits to witnessing it, and those who do offer few details. Does it truly exist? Likely not, but the ocean is immense, with depths where light never reaches. If If something waits there, it knows how to stay hidden. The sea eater devours without a sound, but the next creature drains life in a far more personal way, one victim at a time. Next, at number 3, is the vampire. For centuries, the idea of blood drinkers lurking in the dark has frightened people across the world. They are often portrayed as immortal, with pale skin, sharp fangs, and an endless hunger for blood. Yet a vampire is more than a creature of horror. It represents death, disease, and the mysteries we cannot explain. Their story stretches back to ancient Babylon, but fear of them reached its peak in Europe during the Middle Ages. Villagers dug up graves and drove stakes through corpses, hoping to prevent the dead from rising. One figure became legendary, Count Dracula, inspired by the real-life Vlad the Impaler, a brutal ruler of Wallachia. Belief in vampires spread far, though it remained strongest in Eastern Europe. In the 18th century, Austrian Empress Maria Theresa even commissioned an official investigation into vampire cases, one of the earliest government inquiries into mythical beings in European history. Today, the vampire has evolved from a terrifying monster into a romanticized figure, but the unease still lingers. Perhaps it is because the notion of a parasitic undead creature feels disturbingly plausible. Do vampires exist? Science says no. Yet folklore, tradition, and the fears rooted in our hearts ensure their legend will never die. Vampires stalk the night unseen, while our next monster roars through the twisting halls of legend, half man, half bull, and wholly feared. You have almost certainly heard of the next creature, the Minotaur, towering nearly 9 feet tall, with the body of a man and the head of a bull. He was said to prowl stone halls, his footsteps echoing and his roar shaking the walls. The tale of the Minotaur dates back to the 13th century BCE, during the height of the Minoan and Mycenaean civilizations. Crete was then a place both powerful and feared. There, the labyrinth was constructed, a prison for this cursed hybrid born from a divine punishment. According to legend, Queen Pasiphae fell under a spell of love for a bull, and from this union came a creature who could never roam free. He was confined to the labyrinth, an intricate maze built by the craftsman Daedalus. Young Athenians were sent as sacrifices, trembling until the hero Theseus arrived with a sword and a ball of thread. He entered the maze and emerged alone. Myths are rarely just stories. In the ruins of Knossos, archaeologists have uncovered frescoes of bull-headed figures, and the palace's many twisting corridors resemble the labyrinth itself. Evidence of bull worship among the ancient Cretans, horn symbols, bull-leaping rituals, and ceremonial chambers suggests the legend grew from these sacred practices. Did the Minotaur exist? Most likely not. Yet, the labyrinths we create in our minds, our fears and our tales, remain as real as ever. The Minotaur's labyrinth was built by human hands, but the last creature dwells in a maze carved by the earth itself, guarding secrets no one returns to tell. The final creature on our list is the Groot slang. Outside South Africa, few have even heard its name. This creature comes from ancient lore and is described as a colossal serpent, stretching up to 40 feet long, with the head of an elephant and gleaming scales. Some call it the serpent with an elephant's mind. Legends claim it is highly intelligent, able to lure victims with illusions and an eerie voice. Tales place the Groot slang near the Orange River and the deep caves of Retorfeld. It is said to guard chambers overflowing with gemstones, treasures no one has successfully claimed. Those who have tried to reach them have never returned. The few who survived tell of a vast shadow and glowing eyes piercing the darkness. According to myth, the Groot slang was among the first creatures created by the gods, an unintended fusion of elephant and serpent. The gods tried to correct their mistake by separating the two, but one Groot slang escaped. Today, its story lives on in accounts of disappearances and local legends shared with adventurous travelers. Few admit to seeing it, but everyone knows to keep their distance. Does the Groot slang truly exist? Perhaps it is only a myth, or perhaps deep within a hidden cave beneath South Africa, something ancient still guards its treasure. In the frozen wilderness of northern Canada, a place where the cold alone can kill you. Winters there are long, dark, and brutally harsh. For the Algonquin people who once lived off that land, every winter brought a dangerous question. Would there be enough food to survive? When animals vanished and crops failed, starvation haunted every village. In those desperate times, legend says a person might face an impossible choice: to die slowly from hunger or to do the unthinkable, eat another human being. And with that single act, they would become something no longer human. They would become a Wendigo, The Wendigo is described as a skeletal, hollow-eyed creature. Its gray, corpse-like skin stretched tight across its bones. Its mouth is smeared with blood, and its body reeks of rot and decay. Within its chest beats a heart made of solid ice, and with each human it consumes, the monster grows larger, though its hunger never fades. The more it eats, the emptier it feels. Cursed with endless craving, the Wendigo is said to wander the forests forever, searching for flesh. The very people it once called family or friends. The legend grew so powerful that even in modern psychology, the term Wendigo psychosis is used to describe a person overcome by the desire to eat human flesh and the fear of becoming a cannibal. Today, most of us never have to face such choices, but for the Algonquin people during brutal winters, it was more than just a story. It was a warning that hunger could turn anyone into a monster, and your neighbor could become your next meal. Number 6. Charybdis. Most sea monsters bite. Charybdis devoured the ocean itself. In Greek myth, she haunted the waters of the Strait of Messina, hidden beneath a jagged rock, but she was not alone. On the opposite side dwelled Scylla, a creature with snapping mouths. Any ship trying to pass between them faced certain doom. Too close to Scylla, and sailors were ripped to pieces. Drift toward Charybdis, and the vessel would be dragged into the sea. She did not chase her prey. She lay in wait. The legends say Charybdis drank in massive waves, holding them within her body. Then, when she released them, the water spun into a raging whirlpool, strong enough to swallow ships whole. Heroes like Odysseus and Jason were said to encounter her, though most who tried never came back. Charybdis appears again and again in Greek storytelling. Some thought she was a gigantic serpent with a thirst so great it altered the tides. Her appetite set the very rhythm of the sea. Modern science offers another explanation. The whirlpools of the strait do exist, but they are not lethal. They are the result of colliding currents. Turbulent, but not enough to match the terror of the myth. Small boats can overturn in storms, yet the waters are not the gaping mouth of a beast. Still, why did ancient sailors cling to the story? Perhaps the danger felt real enough to give her life in their minds. Or perhaps something truly was there, something that left no witnesses behind. From raging waters to shadowed jungles, the next legend lurks in Africa, where whispers tell of a beast that even elephants fear. Number 5. Emela Ntuka. Most people have heard of the Amazon, but far less know of the Congo rainforest, a stretch of Central Africa even more mysterious and far less charted. It is a land where roads fade, legends thrive, and some claim the age of dinosaurs never truly ended. Among the people, there is talk of a beast called Emela Ntuka, translated as the elephant killer. That name alone is chilling, but the description makes it stranger still. Witnesses speak of a reddish-brown animal with heavy legs, a long, sweeping tail, and a single, deadly horn rising from its head. This creature is not said to feed on flesh, yet it is known to strike at elephants, not for food, but to guard its territory. Its horn, dense as bone or ivory, is strong enough to tear open even the largest of rivals. Does that sound like a dinosaur? Many think so, pointing out its resemblance to the horned dinosaurs of long ago, the ceratopsians. But according to science, those vanished in the great extinction of the Cretaceous. So what are people encountering? Some think it might be a modern rhino, but there's a problem. African rhinos bear 2 horns and short tails, while Emela Ntuka is described with 1 horn and a long tail. Because of that, a few researchers believe it could represent a species unknown to modern science, perhaps even a living link to ancient families like Arsinoitherium or Megacerops, giant, rhino-like animals that once roamed prehistoric Earth. Could one of them still be alive in the Congo swamps? If so, it would mean more than survival. It would mean triumph over extinction. Do you think one of these beasts might still exist? Tell me which in the comments. Number 4. The Chimera. Picture a creature with the head of a lion breathing fire, a goat's head rising from its back, and a snake for a tail, dripping with venom. It sounds impossible, yet that was the Chimera, one of the most feared monsters of Greek myth. The stories say she was born of Typhon, a giant so fierce he fought the gods themselves, and Echidna, a being half woman and half serpent. The Chimera laid waste to the land of Lycia, scorching fields and villages, until the hero Bellerophon, riding the winged horse Pegasus, brought her down. Even then, her legend did not die. Her image spread across coins, pottery, and sculpture, shaping art and memory. Even geography carried her name. Mount Chimera in modern Turkey still burns with eternal flames, caused by natural gas seeping from beneath the earth. To the Greeks, those fires were not geology. They were evidence the Chimera once prowled there. But the word chimera did not stay locked in myth. It entered science. Today, a chimera is very real, though in a different sense. The name is used for any organism made from cells of two different species. In the 1980s, for instance, scientists merged goat and sheep embryos to create a living chimera, not a hybrid, but a single animal formed from two embryos. More recently, researchers have implanted human brain cells into mice, also called chimeras. These are not fire-breathing monsters, but they do challenge us with unsettling questions. Where do we draw the boundary between human and non-human? In 1998, two scientists even attempted to patent a human-animal chimera. The application was rejected, labeled both unsafe and monstrous. So we moved from myth to laboratory, yet the feeling remains. The chimera still carries a shadow of danger, not only because of what it once symbolized, but because of what we might one day create. Yet the chimera was not the only monster guarding myths of fire and fury. Another stood at the very gates of death itself. Number 3, Cerberus. Cerberus was no ordinary hound. This creature had 3 enormous heads, a mane writhing with snakes, and a tail shaped like a serpent. Some tales said his eyes could petrify, while his fangs dripped with poison. Born of monsters, he stood chained at the gates of the underworld. No soul escaped, and no living being entered unless Hades allowed it. In certain stories, each head had its own vision. One gazed into the past, another into the present, the third into the future. Others believed the 3 heads symbolized life's stages: birth, youth, and old age. Either way, Cerberus was the ultimate sentinel. Even heroes trembled before him. Orpheus managed to slip past by soothing the beast with music, lulling him into slumber. Hercules, on the other hand, chose force, grappling Cerberus until he won. But Cerberus is not just a relic of Greek storytelling. Across cultures, the idea of a guardian beast at the threshold of life and death appears again and again. In Egypt, there was Anubis. In Norse tales, the hound Garmr. Perhaps deep down, humanity found comfort in the thought of a watchful dog standing guard over us forever. Maybe that is why the legend endured, because it echoed something we recognized. Could a creature like Cerberus have existed? Not in the exact form of a 3-headed giant hound, yet nature has shown it can bend its own rules. Animals with 2 heads, snakes, turtles, even dogs, have been born and documented by science. Rare but real. These mutations seem uncanny, but they prove biology is not as fixed as we think. Now consider this. If ancient people saw such oddities more than once, what would happen? Over generations, the memory might grow. 2 heads becoming 3, strange traits exaggerated, until the story hardened into myth. And thus, Cerberus, the Death Gatekeeper, was born. If the underworld had a sentinel, then the oceans may hide their own. Modern accounts suggest something eerily human drifting in the deep. Number 2, Ningen. The Ningen is a sea creature from Japanese lore, though it stands apart from ordinary myths. Descriptions claim it is enormous, anywhere from 65 to nearly 100 feet long. Its body is unsettlingly human-like, yet not fully human. Pale white skin, long arms, and wide-webbed hands. Some witnesses even describe a tail, more like a mermaid than a fish. In 2022, a group studying whales reported a bizarre encounter. What they saw was no whale. The skin was too smooth, the shape too pale, and the figure seemed almost human. They even noticed what looked like fingers. The being surfaced briefly near their vessel, then slipped back beneath the waves before they could respond. But the tale goes back further. In 2005, an odd image on Google Maps showed a strange form in the waters off Namibia. Many dismissed it as ice, though not everyone was convinced. Then, in 2010, a Japanese research team captured footage of something resting deep on the seabed. It had a massive frame, tiny eyes, and an eerie, stretched smile. It did not swim, it did not move, it only stared. Some suggested it was a large eel or sea snake. Others swore it was capable of walking on land, upright, like a frozen person brought to life. The most disturbing part? Not all of that footage was ever made public. Some say authorities withheld it, to avoid panic. And here is a detail that makes it all more unsettling. In Japanese, ningen does not mean monster or beast. It simply means human. And while the ningen blurs the line between man and sea, our final creature united earth and sky, ruling as king of both. Number 1. Griffin. The griffin was part lion, part eagle. Its body, legs, and tail came from the lion, while its head was that of an eagle. Some depictions gave it wings tipped with razor talons. Others left it wingless. More than a creature, it symbolized authority, the ruler of both land and air. For that reason, legends often portrayed it as sovereign over all creation. Tales of griffins appear in cultures stretching from the Middle East to Northern Europe. They were said to guard sacred tombs and hidden treasures. In some stories, even their feathers held power, able to restore sight to the blind. But the real puzzle remains. Were griffins only legends, or did they spring from something people actually encountered? If you were a Scythian living along the Black Sea thousands of years ago, you might have thought so, especially when stumbling upon the strange bones of creatures we now recognize as Protoceratops. Protoceratops was a real dinosaur. It lived in the Cretaceous period, roughly the size of a sheep, and carried features that seemed mismatched. To us, familiar with dinosaur images, it looks ordinary enough. But to ancient people who had no concept of dinosaurs, the skull with its beak-like snout suggested an eagle, while the powerful body seemed more like a lion. From that blend, the griffin may have been imagined. That is the argument of Adrienne Mayer, a historian at Stanford. She proposes that ancient peoples discovered such fossils, could not explain them, and wove stories to fill the gaps. Yet not everyone accepts this view. Dr. Mark Whitten offers a different perspective. He believes griffins were inspired not by ancient bones, but by living animals, large raptors, lions, or perhaps a mix of both, shaped in legend. In his view, griffins were not early science, but pure storytelling. So, which explanation is true? Were griffins myths born from fossils, or were they visions stitched together from creatures that already walked the earth? In either case, the griffin is only one chapter in a wider tale. Many beings once cast aside as fantasy later revealed surprising ties to reality, and some still hide mysteries science has yet to solve.